Hey, welcome back. I am out on a short little jaunt to photograph a waterfall called the Tokul Creek waterfall. It's here in the Snoqualmie Valley. It's part of a project I'm going to do this year to try to capture as many of the waterfalls that lead into the Snoqualmie River north of the major Snoqualmie Falls. So Snoqualmie Falls is a major waterfall, very popular to come see in King County. But there are tens, dozens of waterfalls all along this river that cover quite a large watershed. So this is my first one. This is actually, I picked this one because A, it's easy to get to. As soon as I parked, I can hear it. And honestly, there's no snow here today, so it kind of makes it a little bit easier. The rest of them are a little higher in elevation and hard to get to. So welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much, and let's get going down here. Hey, I don't know if you can hear me or not. The water's really running. It must have a lot of rainfall and a lot of snow melt here. Just had my, kind of worked my way down to the waterfall edge. It's a little bit of tree fall too, so it was a little bit of a bushwhack. But this waterfall falls in all kinds of tiers. So there are multiple kind of waterfall cascades, upstream from where I am and downstream. I've kind of looked downstream and there's like a small canyon on both sides, at least from where I'm at. So I may actually have to hike into it from a different place. So I'm kind of in the middle side of the falls here. This side was better than the other. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but it also was a canyon. And I've just had my phone out kind of looking at exposure. So there's this rock here that's got some really beautiful moss and these ferns growing on it. There's also this rock here, which is only getting a little bit of water. So it almost has a little bit of a V. It is the middle of the day, so I'm trying to get as little of the sky in as possible, which isn't too hard. But there's things like, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a tree limb over here that's kind of jutting into any scene I try. So I'm trying to keep it out a little bit while still giving some more of the context. So I think like this general area I'm going to set up with a super wide angle lens, like my 10 to 24, and see if I can get an exposure there. So I'm going to go get that out and we'll take a look at that together. So this kind of hurts me to say, but I have gotten to the point where I need reading glasses to look at the back of this camera. So I keep forgetting I brought them with me. I need to get some that I can wrap around my neck. A little bit easier to remember. Let me get those on, not fall down since there are just reading glasses. Let me keep working on this this composition a little bit. So I keep working on this exposure, and I want to get kind of more of the background in it. And what happens is this limb right here keeps kind of poking into the scene. And I'm trying to figure out, oh, that's the tree in the background. Okay. So there might be a chance. Oh, look at that. Like just a little tilt, a little framing. I get that tree in. And then if I turn back this direction, I feel like that there's, you know, maybe a nice foreground element here with the rock. If I can turn it and get the right amount. I keep looking at this fern here, trying to bring them in. But I think I might just need to be up higher in elevation to bring them into the photo. Puts a really dark edge on the picture. Kind of throws a little bit of it off balance. So I think, yeah, something like this might work. Yeah, I think something like this might work. And then horizontally, I do think there is something to be had kind of at this height too, capturing the waterfall, cutting a little bit of that tree out of the background, but getting this fern to set some context. So I'm going to get my tripod, I'm going to set it right here and get my camera mounted on it. This will be a little bit of fun because I have I failed to bring my lens cloths with me. Can't believe I forgot them. I've got a few, but I don't have the big ones that I often use. I have to watch with my glasses on since they're reading glasses. Kind of throws the ground off on me a little bit. I don't want to end up in this waterfall. I do think right about here is where I was, so starting to get the legs extended. I actually believe I was just a tiny bit further out here in the waterfall. All right, so everything's tightened down. Again, one more thing we don't want to lose down the waterfall is our equipment. Get my hip here to start with, even though I know I'm going to move it around a bit, but always a good starting place. Grab my camera. Oh, find what little lens cloth I might have stored around in here somewhere. Start and get set up for the horizontal photo. Hey, I almost accidentally, I don't know, I'll probably still try this. Oh, mosquitoes. It's February and there's mosquitoes in the air. How crazy is that? One of the things I'm going to do is I am definitely going to stick a polarizer on to the front of this lens. I don't know how much that's actually going to help me with reflection on the water, but it'll cut down some of the reflection that's on some of the trees and stuff around it, or the ferns around here. Yeah, that cuts through some of it. Pretty good. I think my let's put it up into manual now. 2.5 f8. Now I'm going to actually drop the depth of field just a little bit on manual focus. What manual focus will do is it will let me kind of adjust how close I've got the focus. So in this case, looks like everything's pretty much in focus. I could do a little bit of focus peaking here on this camera. Yeah, so by the time I drop it down to F10, F11, should be all good, making sure everything's kind of tightened down here. I'm gonna bump the ISO a little bit because really I think I'm gonna end up wanting to be like closer to 1/5, 1/10 of a second. So just showing this exposure a little bit. So I've got the ferns here in the side, I've got the waterfall kind of S-curving in and down and out of the frame. I've set up for, looks like ISO 400. That'll give me 1/5 of a second. I'll take it a few different ISOs here. I've got a polarizing filter on. Chuck's cut down some of the reflections here, a little bit in the water. So, yeah, we'll go take that picture now. 2-second timer. Yeah, that's got some like really nice motion in the waterfall. So no blown highlights. There's a little bit of light at the top of the frame. I think it's kind of unavoidable given where I'm at. I kind of like it, so I think I'm going to stick with this 1/5 of a second here. I'm going to rotate my composition a little bit more over to my left-hand side. Want to give the waterfall a chance to kind of curve through the frame and curve out. So that's what we're doing here. So we'll take this now. Oh, first we'll check focus because you know that's always important to do. That's good. Manual focus. 1/5 of a second. Yeah, it's not too bad. Like it captures quite a bit of the waterfall. I'm going to do one more before I change my my exposure, which is I'm going to dial my ISO down to base ISO 1/60th. I'm going to crank the exposure time up to compensate for that, which will give me, see, try not to blow out highlights here. It looks like 2 seconds. That'll be enough to smooth out the water, give a different feel to this photo. Yeah, okay. Now, you know, I really suggest that when you're out like this, you've worked pretty hard to get to where you're at. And in my case, I'm gonna have to work pretty hard to get out of where I'm at. Definitely make sure you take a few horizontal frames, a few vertical frames. I mean, you know, you're here, you've got a composition that's pretty good. And, you know, you never know exactly what's gonna really look good when you get back on that big screen at home. Might not get out all the time to go do this stuff. I know I don't. So I think it's kind of important to try and capture a few compositions. I mean, if you've nailed exposure and you've nailed kind of all the other pieces with it, there's not much reason to take multiples of the same one, but certainly do spend a little bit of time kind of doing what I'm doing here, which is playing around with different exposures and slightly different orientations. So I've been trying to take this horizontal exposure, and one of the things that's kind of hard to deal with is this right here, this little white patch coming off the rock. It just it kind of draws the eye away from the S-curve and disrupts it. So I'm kind of working around here a little bit to try to remove it, honestly. And I might not be able to do that here. I've kind of played with everything from like my zoom, but then I feel like I lose too much of the surrounding forest. You know, one thing I might try is just thinking about making a 4x5. And so if I did a 4x5, can I pull it off? And I don't think I can. So that's why you take the horizontal and the vertical shots. You never know which one's going to work. All right. So now that I've done all of that sort of work, and I'm down here in this location, it's really beautiful. I am going to put my camera back up into the horizontal format. And I'm probably going to leave it kind of right where it is, honestly, because I don't really have a whole lot of places to go. If I step behind me, I fall down. If I step over this direction, I end up in behind stuff. And if I step over this way, I'm going down the creek. But what I do want to do is I do want to play different compositions of this waterfall since I'm here. And I get a chance to enjoy this beautiful outdoors. Gives a chance to maybe make 2 or 3 scenes. So one of the things, lights come out, which means I need to dial my ISO back a little bit to keep things down at 1/10 of a second. There's some beautiful rocks, and again, I get kind of an S-curve through here. So it's looking pretty good. And 2-second timer. Probably capture it here. Yeah, like this. This is pretty fast, you know, 1/10 of a second. Might even dial the aperture down just a little bit more, and the ISO down just a little bit more, and open the shutter up just a little longer. I've got my neutral density filters if I feel like I need them, but so far I don't really feel like I have. I think I like having motion in the water, especially when there's this much energy in the water, right? There's just a ton of energy, and you know, it's if you try to smooth out a waterfall like this isn't a smooth waterfall. This is nature at its rawest, right? Like pouring down cascades, snowfall, and rain right through this creek. So yeah, I think I'll keep them fast. So I keep motion, and I think also I'm kind of done with this location. So see what, I'm going to pack up here. I'm going to hike back out of here. Maybe a little bit closer to some of the more upper falls, and I'll see you there. as I was going up, I found another composition here. It's this little waterfall that you see in the corner of the frame. And yeah, I would bet that this little fall cascade doesn't exist except during high rain, high water runoff times. So there's this really gorgeous boulder here in front of it. It's got some gorgeous moss. It's blue, gray water. The walls behind us are like covered in moss and gray. There's a little bit of a tree limb here that I figured out how to get a little bit below. I've already had my camera out, kind of working on my composition. So I think this is about the spot, like pretty low down. I'm gonna go get my camera with my wide angle lens on it and get set up here, and we'll take a look together and see what it looks like. All right, this time around, I know I'm going for portrait vertical composition. Helps accentuates the height of the waterfall. So not even going to try to like crank out a horizontal one here. The trick is to get A, far enough down, and B, try not to get that limb that's in the picture in it. Level my camera up here. It's looking pretty good. You know, you get a nice, I'll show you here what I'm seeing on my camera. You get a nice V here with the water. It's going out both ways. There's the blue here, and kind of matches the blue of the boulder here in front of me. You get the shadow area back here with the boulder. There's a little bit of a limb still in it. I just don't know if I can get rid of it. May have to be one of these things that I do out in post, so I'll take my chances there. Get to something that looks like 1/10 of a second, 1/5, without blowing out those highlights. I think I'm going to have to focus stack this one, just owing to how close things are together here. That'll be really easy because then this boulder will be the front focus and everything else will be behind it. So that'll be fairly easy to get. There's some shadows here on the boulder. They're really distracting. Let me turn the polarizer and see how much of those I can get rid of. And the answer is not many. Get a few. This area here is a little sharp, but you know, I may end up cropping it to 4x5, and so that may be okay all the way around anyway. I think that's good. I think I'm going to end up in 1/8 of a second, autofocus on, same place, and yeah, that looks really good. It's a lot of you can see a lot of the motion in the water, but not completely frozen. Kind of a good balance left to right. Okay, I'll blend those together in post, and I'll show them up here to you now. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I really appreciate it. I'm going to pack up and go find my next place around here. Hey, I just climbed out of where I was, taking a little photo of that little piece of waterfall. There was some more around the corner, but they are super hard to get to, and I'm afraid I might end up in the drink. So I've worked my way back up here to the, well, I'll call the upper Tokul Falls. I think this is kind of like the last major cascade. I'm trying to figure out how to work my way down to it safely, take a photo. So if I get there, we'll take one, and I'll let you know. Anyway, One of the questions you might have is, why am I out here like taking photographs and climbing all over these pretty rough wooded patches for these waterfalls? And basically, I made it up to Wise Falls, put a video up here in the corner of what I did before. I've been up there a couple more times. I just found it absolutely gorgeous. Twin Falls, which is a little bit better known here, it was also gorgeous. Had to get out to some, you know, little places most people don't get out to on that fall to take some pictures. And I don't think I'm done there yet. I'm gonna keep going back. So once I discovered that there were dozens of waterfalls within, we're gonna call it a less than an hour drive of my house, sometimes quite a hike, but pretty close to my house. And how gorgeous they are, I haven't found much documentation of them. I mean, there's some documentary stuff. Aaron's Waterfalls is great. I'll provide a link down below. Aaron does waterfalls up and down the Pacific Northwest and takes photos. I'm really trying to capture the art of the falls and this land. I'm so lucky to get to be on and live in kind of day to day. And so that's what my objective is with these falls, is to capture them, share them with the world, and share this beauty that's literally like on the doorstep of Seattle, Washington. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening to me to ramble on and ramble. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna turn this off now and see if I can get down here to this waterfall. Okay, I've already worked my way down here looking for composition. Hopefully the audio is okay. It's so loud. Honestly, there's two compositions. One's the one directly behind you. I'll show you that in just a minute, the photo from there. It's really looking down the valley. See, the water's like rushing away from you. It's green, really gorgeous. And then there's this one, which is this Upper Falls, which is just incredibly powerful. And there's water bouncing up over the edge here. And really my composition's fairly straightforward. I'm gonna set the tripod up pretty high. I'm gonna capture the edge of this rock. I'm gonna capture this, you know, my 10mm lens, looking up at the waterfall here and down where it's hitting. Probably set an exposure, maybe a 10th or 20th of a second. I'm trying to decide if I want to freeze this water or not that's down here, if I want it to move with some motion. So we'll play a little bit around with the shutter speed and stuff. And I'm gonna go finish getting set up here, and when I come back, I'll show you that composition. Just as a safety note here, it's really kind of slick out here. There's moss. These boots do an okay job. These wellies do an okay job, but they don't do a great job. I mean, I've slipped around a few different times, and luckily I've flipped around where the worst thing that's going to happen was I was going to hit a rock. As opposed to go over the drink and hurt myself, which seems like a really bad plan. I think it's about where I want. I'm gonna go, sure it's good, steady, and go get the camera and get set up here. That's why it's so important to get your camera out, honestly, before you get your tripod set, because you just never know exactly where the perfect composition is going to be. Mine ended up being a little bit further back because I really want to kind of maximize some of the things I'm capturing over here in the corner of this photo. There's let's see, over here there's a couple more falls that are coming across. I'm trying to get those. I'm trying to get like this powerful waterfall coming down. So I think I've got it here. I'm gonna level up my tripod. We'll take a look together. All right, so the way I set things is, I'm trying to get as far down to my base ISO. I don't want to blow out the highlights. I shut the shutter speed, which in this case is 1/10 of a second, which is what I think will work. I may try 1/20th also. And kind of got my composition set. So a lot of what I'm doing right now is I'm going to just kind of adjust the ISO up a little bit. believe it or not, it's not actually required to do that in these Fujis. They have what's called ISO invariance in their sensors, which really allows you to do a lot of work in post. I kind of like still trying to capture things as best I can here on the where I'm at, because it gives me the best view of what I think I'm going to go get in post. All right, so this is pretty good. ISO 400. Yeah, so I'll just show you this real quick. So here's my composition. I mean, it's just a waterfall, right? Like, here is this gorgeous waterfall. I've made sure I wanted to capture a couple of the falls that are happening here, the valley that it lives within. So caught all of that. You've got the water just coming in, just a straight up diagonal. I mean, it's like, it's pretty easy composition, just fill in the frame, making sure there's nothing in the corners. So yeah, we'll just go take that and it'll be like Bob's your uncle. Yeah, so that's like 1/10 of a second. I think I'll crank it down to 1/20th of a second and crank the ISO up just a little bit. There'll be a little bit of noise, but I can take care of that in post. Watching my my histogram there. Yeah, we'll try 1/20th of a second here. Yeah, so 1/20th gives you a lot of the motion in the photo, and kind of keep some of that together. I may keep bumping up, because there's like that's one of the things I kind of noticed with this photo is I really like the power of the water. I feel like you get some of that as you keep trying to freeze it. Yeah, up there around 40th, 50th of a second. Looks really, really gorgeous. It's kind of much different than some of the slower shutter speeds. I don't know, I kind of think this 1/10 of a second looks pretty good. It's one of the great things. You get set up on a tripod, you stand here and you play with shutter speeds and try to really capture what you're seeing. I'm gonna go down to 1/5 of a second here. Yeah, okay. I think I've caught a few here kind of in different exposures. I'll pick which one I think looks best in post when I get home and can look at it on a big screen. I'll put it up here for you. Well, I think that's going to do it for me today. This has been really fun. I think I'll stop walking while I'm headed up here. This isn't just like a trail. It's more like a places where a bunch of people come in and out of this canyon of sorts. So thanks for joining. I think I took some extra photos. If I did, I'll show them at the end of this little section for you. A couple intimate scenes around. So yeah, I'll put those up on the screen. Yeah, I just really want to thank you all for joining. Really helped me to give me a thumbs up down below. If you want to see more of these waterfalls in Snoqualmie Valley, hit that subscribe button, turn the little bell on so you get alerts. Share this video with your friends. Help me spread the word. I've got 13 followers. I need more. So, and I think this is a really gorgeous place, and a lot of people deserve to see it. And I hope they see it, like seeing it through the eyes of this photographer. So I think with that, I will call it a day. I really, really appreciate you for sticking with me this long. And yeah, bye for now.